I'm here in UTV7 and this is IFO Nightly Show, and we are gonna have a special edition with two special guests. Can you guess what the topic of today's episode is? It's about United Nations, because United Nations is about to mark 75 years anniversary. And I think that the UN's mission is very much aligned with the IFO missions. We are here to empower women, empower education, to make the world a better place to live. So stay tuned for the episode. I think it's gonna be so fun.
Recognizes 185 countries. 185. True or false?
So you guys can like message one true, like one T if that is true, or one F if that is false.
Okay,
Cool.
good luck.
The next
Nice, easy one to
question. The UN came into existence in 1942.
Okay. Ooh, it gets very hard very quickly. All members of the UN Security Council have the right to veto. Veto.
Can I repeat the question so
Yes.
that all the answer will hear it clearly?
Sorry.
All the members of the UN Security Council have the right to veto. Question number 4. The UN is headquartered in New York City.
Ooh, New York City.
New York City is the headquarters of UN?
Very exciting. Okay, the 4 main purposes of the United Nations is to keep peace, number 1. Number 2, develop relations. Number 3, improve the life of the world's poor. And number 4, provide a forum for nations. So are they the 4 purposes of the United Nations, true or false?
So we have keep peace, develop relations, improve the life of the world's poor, and also provide a forum for nations. I have already had the answer in my mind.
We'll see if you're right or wrong.
Okay, so I think it's time for us to go through the questions.
Okay, perfect. The answers.
The answers,
yes,
that's
okay,
right.
good,
and I'm so eager to play this game with the audience and with you as well. So let's go through from the first question, shall we?
Yes, of course.
We have the yay or nay here. Let's all together bring it up, yay or nay.
Okay, interesting. So that's false?
Or, yeah, true.
Okay, Richard.
Okay.
Yes or no?
Question number 1. Can you read it out loud?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
You're the expert.
Oh, yes, of course. The UN recognizes 185 countries.
1, 2, 3. False!
Yes,
Yay!
Yeah, so there's 193 member states of the United Nations.
93.
And there's 2 observer states of the United Nations. They include the Holy See and the Vatican and the state of Palestine.
Well, very
so
nice.
about 195 altogether, but 193 member states. So if anyone said 185, I'm afraid, tough luck.
Question number 2. The UN came into existence in 1942. 1, 2, 3. I know this answer.
Yes. Can you tell me why? What year was it?
Maybe 1945?
Yes. Why do you think that was?
Because it's when the World War II ended.
Yes.
And in October 1945.
But this isn't fair because you have a degree in international relations, so you knew this anyway.
No, but I forgot all of it.
Oh, okay. But yes, it is 1945, and you're right. One of the purposes of the UN, why it was created, was as a result of World War II. So when peace was achieved, to try and stop us from going into another world war.
Nice. I feel like I'm rewinding back to the class in my university with you here.
Good. That's what we're here to do, to teach.
Okay, question number 3. Can you read it out loud?
All members of the UN Security Council have the right to veto.
1, 2, 3. False, of course. Yeah, false.
But do we have to explain what veto means to the viewers?
I think you better explain.
Okay. So veto basically is a power to stop a decision being taken at the last minute. So for example, a resolution at the Security Council, one of the members of the Security Council can issue a veto which stops the decision or resolution from being passed. And they have that right to do so. But not every country, only some countries.
Okay, question number 4. The UN is headquartered in New York City. 1, 2, 3. Yes, New York City.
Have you been to New York City?
Yeah, twice.
Ah, wow. Did you visit the UN?
Of course, no.
Oh, you should have.
Yeah.
You should have. But there is also UN agencies across the world. For example, we have the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva. So very often you hear people talk about New York City or Geneva.
Moving on to the next question. Can you read it out loud?
The 4 main purposes of the UN is to keep peace, develop relations, improve the life of the world's poor, and provide a forum for nations.
Wait, it's 4, right?
Yeah. So peace, relations, poor, and a forum.
1, 2, 3. Oh wait, if poor, like how about the rich?
Well, that's exactly the point. So everything is right there. Of course, keep peace, develop relations, and provide a forum. But the UN is not just there for the world's poor. There's a lot of other issues, obviously. For example, humanitarian issues. I mean, there are maybe people who are living in particularly vulnerable areas that are not necessarily poor, but of course, a focus of the UN's work is for vulnerable or marginalized groups, and poor people often find themselves in those situations, but it's not exclusively for poor people. It's more of a focus on issues like human rights, trying to combat discrimination, and of course, humanitarian response, which means in times of crisis. And of course, crisis doesn't always select poor or rich people. It doesn't discriminate always. Not sometimes, unfortunately, it can, but that's the 4 main purposes of the UN.
Thank you so much for such detailed and comprehensive knowledge of the UN. And I think that we all here gain a lot of knowledge from that, about the UN, gain more interest. Sometimes we don't really, read a lot about UN, but I think this is a very important thing in the young people's life.
Great.
So we're going to talk more about the topic later on in the show. Okay?
Perfect. Thank you very much.
That is a game, True or False. I hope that you gain a lot of knowledge about UN and be more well aware of this organization. And we will talk a lot more about the role of UN and also your role in this day and age with our expert. So stay tuned. And don't forget to watch the rest of the show because we will announce the result of this game at the end of the show in the live chat of IFO Nightly Show. So how long have you been working in UNDP Vietnam?
I've been working for 4.5 years with UNDP Vietnam. And it's been a great experience so far.
So what do you think, this year Vietnam has just assumed the presidency in the UN and a lot of political milestones. Yeah, so can you tell us more about your opinion about the way Vietnam performed?
So I can tell your viewers that Vietnam was elected to be a non-permanent member of the Security Council at the UN. So it's a fantastic achievement. And what it means is that other UN member states endorsed Vietnam to be a permanent member of the Security, or non-permanent member of the Security Council, to entrust in Vietnam some very important decisions and discussions about international peace and security. And that really is a reflection on Vietnam's performance in recent years and being very globally integrated and setting a good example for promoting peace and international security and sustainable development. So it's a wonderful achievement. And in the month of January, Vietnam assumed the presidency of the Security Council, and was again a wonderful achievement and something that Vietnamese people should be very proud of, and of course the government should be very proud of as well. Of course, the things that were challenging, as you can imagine, if you remember what happened in January?
Yes.
Yes.
Like, we're so happy about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, what happened in January? Well, when they became president, you know what else happened in January? What happened globally?
Corona.
Exactly. So Vietnam had, of course, the same with any other country in the UN, a challenging time to raise some of these other very important issues because a lot of countries were focusing on dealing with Corona, dealing with COVID-19. So they've had some real challenges in that regard. Even now, countries continue to focus more internally and less on what we call issues related to multilateralism.
How about, the policymakers in Vietnam with that political journey? What challenges and what are the opportunities that the policymakers in Vietnam have to navigate?
I think, it's of course, as I mentioned, COVID is going to be a big one in the next year. So in their final year, countries are still continuing to struggle with COVID. And while Vietnam is continuing to take great leadership or show great leadership, other countries continue to struggle, and of course that means their attention may not, the other countries' attention may not always be on these other important issues that Vietnam is trying to drive forward. So that is a challenge. But of course, as I said, there's an opportunity there because Vietnam has handled the pandemic so well. Yes. People are looking up to them now, and they are cooperating and partnering and listening to them. And so they have a new leadership role on the global stage, and especially built on how they've combated COVID, and also how they've handled issues related to combating poverty or ending poverty. But of course, the challenges for the policymakers is that when you push yourself out onto the global stage, people scrutinize you more. They look at maybe, of course, what you're doing well, but also what you're not doing well. And this is, of course, a challenge for policymakers to get a balance where you drive forward what you're achieving and what you're doing well in, but of course you reflect carefully and continue to work and improve on what you need help for. And of course that's one of the important roles of the UN, to step in and offer these types of support.
Yeah, but we really believe in the policymakers of Vietnam.
Good.
So how has the UN aided Vietnam in, prospering the peace and also the human rights?
I think, I think you've said it well there, aided, because, obviously the work of the UN is just to support and facilitate very important things that Vietnam is already doing. And, we were just speaking before about, we enjoyed an anniversary as UNDP in 2018, 40 years of being in Vietnam, so since 1978. So we've been here a long time, and they've seen a lot of changes, and a lot of my colleagues have been here a very long time. So one way, of course, is to connect Vietnam globally and to connect Vietnam with international experts in other countries on different issues, and we do that, and we're continuing to do that, and we're seeing more and more Vietnamese people going overseas, taking the important lessons of Vietnam to other countries. And also we provide a lot of technical advice on the ground here. So again, international staff and national Vietnamese staff working at the UN. I think that can be, sometimes people don't understand that the UN in Vietnam is mainly, of course, made up of Vietnamese people, and with a lot of expertise on a lot of important issues, on human rights, on the environment, on reducing poverty. And they've continued to work very closely with the government, offering them technical advice and some guidance. Also with NGOs, as I mentioned, they play a very important role in monitoring the development of Vietnam. And recently businesses, and businesses are playing a huge, huge role now, and they can have a really big impact. So the UN is also looking very carefully about how we can partner with businesses that are really behaving themselves and contributing to development, but also looking at those businesses that are not behaving themselves and seeing how we can look to prevent them from damaging further sustainable development in Vietnam.
So that's pretty much it from UN to Vietnam. Yeah, so apart from the Vietnam success in presidencies in the UNSC, how has Vietnam contributed and strengthened the UN's mission?
One will definitely we should mention is that, you know, the UN, and when we say the UN, we don't mean that the United Nations, like people like me did this, we set these goals. It was actually a very participative process, and countries like Vietnam proposed what types of goals we should be achieving. And one of the goals that we previously achieved from the last time we set them was to halve global poverty. And Vietnam, between the years of early 90s until 2015, when the last Millennium Development Goals ended, Vietnam made huge contributions to reducing poverty here in Vietnam. And of course that's very important for not just Vietnam but for globally. You know, when another country is not doing well, we're interconnected, so it's felt by other countries around the world. We don't just live in isolation, we're very much interdependent. So that was a very important contribution and continues to be. So on the back of that now we see a lot of people looking to Vietnam for lessons about how Vietnam was able to make such important progress on reducing poverty. And they're continuing to do that. I think you mentioned as well, of course, on peacekeeping. And Vietnam has an excellent reputation at the UN in terms of the training and quality of peacekeepers it provides overseas. I think you'll hear more later on that, but I think that's another very important contribution. And the last one I'll mention is you know, the contributions can be both positive and negative, and that's one of the important things about the UN. You know, it's said before that from former Secretary General of the UN, Dag Hammarskjöld, about the role of the UN is not to take us to heaven, but to stop us from going to hell. And one of the very important contributions of Vietnam is to continue to participate in global reporting and monitoring mechanisms, especially around human rights. So of course no country is doing anything perfectly, and one of the important processes of the UN is that you go to the UN and experts and other countries assess how they think you're doing in terms of things like protecting human rights or the environment. And last year Vietnam went to one of these processes and received over 200 recommendations from other countries about how they can improve their human rights record. And Vietnam as well participates and gives recommendations to these other countries. But every 4 years it does this, and of course just participating in that process is very important. And they come back to Vietnam and then work on implementing the recommendations that they've received and accepted. And I think that's a very important contribution to keep these systems of the UN alive and working, and to participate them very positively and enthusiastically, I would say.
Yeah, I think that the young people also plays a very important role. So what do you think how do you think about the role of the Vietnamese young people in, you know, in keeping the UN's mission?
Yeah, I mean, young people have been, when I first arrived here, I was amazed by the energy of young people, and very committed and always trying to get involved and contribute and participate. I think there's a bad reputation from young people around the world where they say they're stuck on their phones and they're lazy, but not from what I've seen here. Yes, they're stuck on their phones, but I see a lot of engagement and activity and interest in working on these issues. I think you mentioned one earlier on about waste and the environment, and that seems to be one that gets young people very excited and interested. So I've been really impressed. We worked a lot with young people, and I used to be a youth focal point for UNDP in Vietnam, so I had the opportunity to work with lots of young people. And one of the things we did was we worked on a survey of young people in Vietnam, and over 7,000 young people we surveyed from all 63 provinces in Vietnam. And we asked them, you know, what are the major challenges you think we face in the next few years that you think need to be addressed? And it was great that the #1 response was education. And I think that's really important for young people in Vietnam, the education and to build their own education. But not in a selfish way. It's very clear that what they want is education for everyone and for people to be educated on how they can support and help other people. So I've been very impressed, and I think what you're going to see in the next 10 years that the UN has set the goals to be achieved by 2030. So a lot of the young people will say that are young now are going to be taking up very important positions in the next 10 years. And we really need these goals achieved. Otherwise, as we say, we don't have a planet B. It's either this planet or we're in trouble. So I think these young people are going to be taking up very important positions. And I think one thing about young people is that it's not just in the future what kind of role they can play, but right now what they can do. And it's great to say that young people are really active, interested, but I think they need even more support and even more effort to provide them with roles or to allow them to turn this energy and interest into positive contributions. And I think as people working in media or people working in the government or the UN or in schools, to think about not just teaching young people and preparing them for the future, but getting them involved in activities now, because we may not have much time as it turns out. So we need that quite now. And the young people are ready in Vietnam. Yeah.
So mentioning the support, we got support from the government, the school, and the UN. So how has the UN aided the Vietnamese young people in, keeping their fully aware of the global situation and their aspirations?
So we've actually ran a number of workshops and trainings. Sounds very boring, but we do some fun stuff as well. So we've had a number of campaigns around promoting gender equality, where we brought some celebrities together to sit down on panels and maybe do some acting out of situations where women feel discriminated against or harassed. And these are ways of just creating awareness among young people in these types of campaigns. So that's one. But also we've run a number of initiatives where if young people have ideas about advancing sustainable development. So say, for example, it's waste and plastic. How young people see a solution. They can come to the UN. We've had a number of competitions for ideas through an initiative we call Youth Collab. And again, young people have come forward with some amazing ideas in Vietnam. And what we want to do is support those ideas and implement them and give young people the confidence to drive these things forward. I can give you another very great example of a company down in Ho Chi Minh City that uses 3D printing to develop prosthetic limbs for amputees, and that young team provided prosthetic limbs for victims of mines in the center of Vietnam, so mines that have been left there from the war. So young people with technology and all their know-how are ready, and they just need support. And one way we've done it is by providing them with competitions to hear these ideas and then supporting them to implement it. But that's only a very small step, and it's only a very small role. There's a lot more that needs to be done to make sure that young people fulfill their potential, because this is the planet that they'll be living on the most. A lot of us will be gone by the time that happens. So I think more needs to be done.
We'll see. I think Vietnam has a lot of potential in this, especially the young people.
Of course.
Yeah, so thank you so much for the talk. I have known a lot. It's such an eye-opening experience. So what will be the key message for the young audience who are watching right now from the UN representative?
I think the key message is, despite your studies, despite your commitments, family and friends, of course, these are all very important. I think sometimes young people can put off getting involved in these things until a little bit later when they've finished their education. But I would say, even if you're in college and you're busy with your exams, try and find ways to get involved in initiatives, to volunteer, to increase your awareness on these issues. You don't have to delay. The time is now, and really the UN is calling the next 10 years the decade of action. And we need to move much more urgently, much more effectively on some of these issues. The time is running out. I can tell you that last year, in 2019, of these 17 goals that we set, that UN was set with the member states, we were not on target to reach any of them in Asia Pacific by 2030. So this is very alarming, and I think you really have to, of course, we don't want to put all the pressure on young people, because older people need to obviously play an important role in that as well. But for young people to really play your role you need to explore opportunities to get involved however you can. There may not be much opportunities later in life. You never know what's going to happen, so take the time now and don't waste any more time. Get involved, increase your awareness, go onto the UNDP Facebook page, ask us questions about how else you can do it, because we fully support any efforts of young people to get involved in these processes.
Yeah, thank you so much. Get involved, go to UNDP Facebook, social media, raise your awareness, because you are the key to the sustainable development. Coming up next will be the talk with a very young, special, unique, talented woman. We're going to talk a lot about peacekeeping, about UN, so stay tuned. And welcome back to IFO Nightly Show. We are here with our special guest, First Lieutenant Seán O'Connell. She has been the peacekeeper for the UN as well, and I think it's going to be a really interesting talk. Hi, and thank you for joining us. Yes, how are you?
I'm good.
You have a perfect outfit. I love it.
I love it.
That's amazing.
Okay.
So could you tell us more about yourself?
Okay, so currently I'm the staff officer of Field Support Division of Vietnam Department of Peacekeeping Operations, and I just came back from the United Nations mission in South Sudan. Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. So how long have you been working as a peacekeeper for the UN?
So I joined the Vietnam Department of Peacekeeping Operations since 2015 and deployed to United Nations mission in 2018. And I just came back like almost 1 year ago.
Why did you choose to join the military courses?
So I was born and raised in a family that has a military tradition. And so after I graduated from university, I came back to Vietnam and decided to join the army to follow my dream.
So you study business administration,
yes,
right?
international business and management.
Oh, so you study international business and management, and then you turn to become a military.
Yes.
Wow, so you have to take part in the course, right?
Yes,
can you tell us more about that?
Military commissioner officer course. It lasts for around 3 to 6 months, depends. So it's compulsory for us who want to join the army that has already have a degree background. Yes.
So it's just like a couple of months.
3 months.
3 months.
3,
what did
4
you
months.
learn there?
So we learned everything about the army, Vietnam People's Army, and everything that we need to know to become an officer. It was very interesting because it's always been my dream since a little girl.
Wow.
So yeah, I get to know a lot of knowledge and experience also.
So you have been working at Vietnam Department of Peacekeeping Operations since 2015. So what keeps you interested in the profession, and can you share more about the job?
Okay, so back in 2015, the department was called Vietnam Peacekeeping Center, and only until 2018, it was upgraded to Vietnam Department of Peacekeeping Operations. And I have to say that joining the United Nations Peacekeeping Force gave us the chance to support the international humanitarian assistance within our capacity, and from which promote the image of Vietnam and Vietnam People's Army to our international friends, and also is playing a part in that process is something that very wonderful and rewarding for us. That's what keeps us interested in the job. And up to October 2020, Vietnam has sent a total of 172 officers and staff to United Nations Peacekeeping Mission, and also to work at the UN headquarters in New York. And among that 126 officers are from Vietnam Level 2 Hospital. It's the contingent that we deploy.
So can you tell us more about your responsibilities as a peacekeeper in the UN? Like, what did you do, or what makes you want to become a peacekeeper?
So actually my job in the Vietnam Level 2 Hospital is I work for the board of command. So I'm the admin officer and in charge of the ops room. So basically it's an information center of the hospital. So what I do is I need to keep the information and report to the UN and also back to Vietnam leadership. So basically that's the job of myself, and also the hospital because I work for the hospital
Yeah.
at that time. So we provide the health care for the United Nations personnel that working in the mission.
So have you ever thought that gender is a difficulty for you to become a peacemaker, keeper in the UN?
No, actually the job, there is no difference between for the gender, so it's gender equality in our armed force. And also you know that our nations is a peace-loving nations, and we struggle recently for the freedom, for the independence and freedom. So the more we cherish and are proud of our history, the more we deeply perceive that everyone over the world can live in peace, prosperity and happiness. And joining this job, like I said, make me have a chance to do whatever all I ever wanted. First of all is to follow the footsteps of my grandfather and father. Secondly, to help the other. You know that both in individual officers or in contingent, so Vietnam women peacekeeper participated in a high ratio. And we also know that we are holding the mission, the nation missions, that to promote the image of Vietnam People's Army and also the image of Vietnamese women in our international friends. And for the UN, the participation of the women peacekeeper have made many positive impact on the peacekeeping environment. And so I think that what called women empowerment, and that's what I'm rooting for.
I think you're such a role model in the women empowerment in this day and age for the Vietnamese young people. So you told us that you came to South Sudan for the military responsibility. How long had you been there?
So it has been, it was 14 months.
14 months?
Yes.
Starting from 2015?
October 2018, and we end in end of November 2019.
So just last year?
Yes, so it's basically we are rotation 1 of Vietnam Level 2 hospital, so the rotation will keep coming.
So can you tell us more about your experience there, the hardship and like the opportunities?
So that question is the question that we have been asked the most when we came back to Vietnam. I have to say that we had 14 months in the mission, and it's not long if compared to a lifetime. But a day in a country that suffering from war and even civil war is full of difficulties and challenges, and especially for women in uniform, these difficulties multiple. So I will share about like difficulties that we have to face in the mission. So first of all is the living condition. So let's take South Sudan for an example. So that country, they have 2 seasons. The first is rainy season and also the dry season. And we arrived in South Sudan in the end of rainy season, and it was extremely cold at night. Down to 10 degrees Celsius, and in nighttime it can go up to 50 degrees Celsius. So it was very cold, and we didn't bring jacket because we thought that we don't need jacket there.
Oh my God.
Yes, but in dry season, the heat can go up to 60 degrees outside. So it's very hot, and another issue is the clean water. So it's very rare there, and is a problem for everyone, I think. The second difficulty is the working condition. So sometimes we have to go to places that have nothing, like only have dust, dead tree, and the dirt road. And let's take a job of military observers, for example. So as a military observer, your duty is to go on patrol.
Wow.
So it can take days and even months, and sometimes you have to go to a place that have nothing. You don't have a bathroom, don't have a proper place to sleep. So what you need to do is carry a sleeping bag with you and get to sleep wherever and whenever you are. So it's very hard and tough. And not only we get the challenge from the working condition, but also the let's say we have to face a risk of many infectious diseases. So diseases like malaria, Ebola, and the most recent is COVID-19. So it's very difficult day. And last but not least, I think that this the most important one is the psychological effect. So we have a long term of duty, and let's say right now, due to the impact of COVID-19, so a lot of my colleagues they cannot go back home on leave, and even they have to extend their term of duty to few months. And there was a case happened in our rotation 1 of Vietnam hospital. One of my colleagues, his mother passed away, and he couldn't go back home. So it happens. And as a military officers, we all understand and know that everything can happen, and what we need to do is to overcome all of these difficulties to complete our mission.
Wow, you're such a powerful, strong woman. I cannot even imagine all of those difficulties you have been through, and now you're so beautiful, optimistic, and very, very, willing to contribute to the peace of the world and of Vietnam. I mean, I just want to give you a round of applause, and I know that a lot of audience here watching really look up to you. This is the first time I listened to the stories of a peacekeeper, a Vietnamese peacekeeper, and I feel so touched. So, did you imagine that living conditions were that bad before coming to South Sudan?
Well, before we deployed to the mission, so we have a lot of training. And in that training, we will get to know all the information about the place that we are going to deploy. And we know about that, but it's nothing that we expected. Especially, that when I just landed in South Sudan, in Ben Tiêu, where our base is, the airport, normally you see the airport is a building
like very clean and proper.
Yes, but in Ben Tiêu it's different. It's nothing there. It's just the dirt road. So they even landed on the road.
Wow.
Yes. So they don't have the proper
route.
Yes. For the airplane.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Was you shocked at that time?
No, it was, it's a new experience.
Yeah.
So we know about that. But then when on the way we go back to our camp, so the children and also the local, they are standing on the road and then looking at us.
I think the training helps you a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, helps you to imagine the conditions and help you to some ways to overcome the difficulties. Welcome back to IFO Nightly Show. This is a special edition where we're gonna celebrate 75 years of UN, and we're here in the studio with First Lieutenant summing up. And after the talk, we're gonna play a game. I love this game a lot. This is called Catchphrase. So the production crew has prepared so many words about UN. Of course, you know a lot more than me. I think I might be a loser in this game, but it doesn't matter because I really love playing the game. And do you like playing games?
So first?
Yeah, I think it should be the first one.
So this is 2 words. The first one, male, female.
Male, female, gender.
Okay. The second is balance.
Gender equality.
Yes.
Yay!
Okay.
Thank you for explaining it so well. My turn. Another name for people?
Human.
So we have a department in UN.
Human rights.
That's right, human rights. Yay! It's not difficult, right? Yeah, I hope so.
Okay, this is difficult. This side.
2 sides?
2 words. So it's 2 words. So the first one, this side.
2. Left.
No.
Right.
No. It's not victory. It's another word. This sign is
hi.
No.
This one,
it's a sign of
peace.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the second is another word for
peacekeeping.
No. Like the hope, the house.
The hope.
The house. Another word.
Building.
Yes. So that's 2 words.
Peace building.
Yes.
Yay!
Peace building.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit lightly more difficult. Can I change? I don't even understand that. Oh, this one. Oh my god. It's a common phrase, but it's hard to explain. So when I say something and you say, ah, it means you...
Mature understanding.
Wow!
Is it correct?
That's right, mutual understanding. You know me so well after the first time meeting.
Okay, let's see. So we have the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, independence, and
Independence?
the next word.
Can I say in Vietnamese? Độc lập, tự do, hạnh phúc. Independence, freedom, and
Yes.
happiness.
Yes. So
Freedom.
yes.
Yeah. What do you think about our game?
I think it's quite fun.
Yeah.
I never played before.
Oh, really?
So I watch a lot of people playing, but I never be a part of it.
Oh, congrats to the first time. You did a really
Yes.
good job. And I think that a lot of audience also know a lot of words and ideas of the UN.
Yes.
The focus of this talk show.
Yes.
So here comes the questions from our special guest, Miss Sa Minh Ngọc. So do you have any questions for the audience so that the audience will send the answers to the mobile phone right here on the screen of the show?
Okay. So I will have two questions for the audience. Okay. The first one is, how many times does Vietnam join as a non-permanent member of UN Security Council, and list the periods? And the second question is, from 2014 up to now, how many officers and staff that Vietnam has sent to the United Nations peacekeeping mission?
So that's a very cool and good questions. I think you could do some research if you have no idea and send a message to their IFO show, and we will have a lot of presents and gifts from the UN to you guys, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for taking time to join the show with us.
Thank you for the invitations, and it's my honor to be here also.
Yeah, I look forward to meeting you once again in the future.
Me too.
Yeah. Welcome back to the show. We are welcoming back Mr. Seán, the UN representative who works in the Human Rights and Rule of Laws Department in Vietnam, UNDP. So as you told us earlier, that UN has a lot of support for the Vietnamese young people, and one of them is via competition. So can you tell us more about the competition?
Absolutely. So this year is the UN's 75th birthday, or anniversary, since 1945. So to celebrate here in Vietnam, we are hosting an essay competition. So young people are being invited to submit a short essay on the contributions of Vietnam to the UN, and we have a range of prizes for the best essay competition. The deadline for the essay competition is the 22nd of November at midnight, and you can find all the information you need on the VGO Facebook page. That's the Vietnam Global Outreach Facebook page, or UNDP Vietnam Facebook page for more information.
How about the interesting prizes?
Well, the first prize is, which I think is going to be very attractive. Oh, actually, let me start from the back. The fourth prize is cash. So money for your essay competition, or for your essay submission, which is great. The third prize is to join an overseas volunteering program in Thailand. So you get to put into practice working in international development and working overseas with other people from around the world, including in Thailand.
Sounds amazing.
Second prize is another opportunity to work overseas on a volunteering trip, this time to Korea. Again, the opportunity to learn and to meet people from another country and to put into action sustainable development. And the number one prize, which is of course the headline prize, is you get a chance to work with me at UNDP for a 6-month internship for the best submission, best essay with UNDP here in Hanoi.
That's amazing. That's
I think so.
Grand prize.
Yes.
I think the winners will have a lot of chance to learn. So who will be eligible for the competition?
Who's eligible? We're looking for people, students mainly, but anyone who has graduated in the last 2 years. So if you graduated in 2019, you can still submit an essay. If you graduated, of course, this year, you can submit an essay. And if you're still in university, you can submit an essay. So there the rules. More information is on the Facebook page, as I said, VGO or UNDP Vietnam Facebook page.
So
And I strongly encourage you to apply. We have a great team. We have great fun in the office. We work in a beautiful, one of the most environmentally sustainable buildings in Vietnam, here in Hanoi. And also the intern is going to have a chance to go and visit one of our project sites in Vietnam. So maybe up in the mountainous areas or in Mekong or in the center of Vietnam, and learn a lot and hopefully have a chance to contribute to the work we do here in Vietnam.
But yeah, we encourage you all to take part in the competition because I believe this is going to be an eye-opening experience. Even if you don't win anything, you still gain a lot of knowledge from your research. And yeah, that's it. We'll see.
All the submissions are made in English.
Wow, a great time to learn English as well. It is time that I don't really want in the show is when I have to say goodbye to our special guest, and I have to say that we had a really fun time talking with each other, and I do believe that all of those information are useful to you guys, especially the young people. So can you say something in Vietnamese to say bye to the audience?
Okay, I can say cảm ơn các bạn, tạm biệt.
Yeah, thank you so much. A very cute Vietnamese. Thank you everyone for watching the show, and stay tuned for the next episode of IFO Nightly Show. Bye. Take care.